Welcome to today's live. I'm excited to be here with you. It is Wednesday, it's March 19th. Talk about some things that are going on today. We are talking about being in over your head. What does that mean, and what does success mean? How do we experience success? How do we how does success even come, right? Like, I think that this has a lot to do with being successful. Like, success comes when we are in over our head. Success doesn't come in your comfort zone. Success doesn't come in your rehearsal space. Success comes when you have challenged yourself, taken risks, stepped out of your comfort zone. That's when you really hit success. So I want to talk about that today, about what does it mean to be in over your head? What does it mean to discover your success? Create your success by doing that. Yeah, and I would absolutely love comments, stories from you, questions from you. Heather Christie, thanks for being here. Femi Inc., Lucy Ladd, thank you for joining. But I would love to hear stories about times you got in over your head and what happened. Let's talk about the challenges of it. Let's talk about how success happens with it. Let me just see one technical thing. Hey, Micmac, and see if I can make this happen over here. Yes. All right. So we are talking about getting in over your head and how success comes when you're in over your head. The only way it comes is being in over your head. It doesn't happen comfortably. It doesn't happen. I think that there's this wonderful balance of like, well, I'm going to tell you a story. I think that this is a good way of describing it. Yeah. So a guy I was working with is a filmmaker, and he said to me, "I'm wooing you. I'd like to have you music supervise my film." And I said, "Oh, interesting. I like this idea. I love movies. Oh my gosh, I love storytelling, and I love cinematic. I love cinematography. I love the storytelling through the visual. So for me, fashion. This is storytelling through visual, right? I love storytelling. I love filmmaking. So I'm gonna fix something over here, being a little funny and technical. See how I can get better at this stuff? There we go. Nice. You're feeling it now, over your head, but driven artistically, and you don't know why. I love that. That's fantastic. So Josh Klausner said, "I'd really love you to be a music supervisor on this film." And I'm like, "Oh, I love this idea. I love this a lot. I want to know more about it. I want to know what this means, what would be expected of me, so that I know I can deliver excellence." That's important to me, that I can deliver excellence. So we had a meeting about, like, what does this entail? Now, this particular film is which you can watch, it's streaming, Wonderland. And it's a non-musical musical. It's a dark comedy, and there's music at every scene, and the actors are singing directly. But it's not a traditional musical theater type of thing. And the music is very like Tom Waits inspired singer-songwriter. Okay. So I wanted to know, like, the idea of doing this gig excited me so much, but I also wanted to know, can I deliver this with excellence? So we talked about what this meant. And the first thing he said was, I really just want like a singer on a guitar singing these songs. Well, the first thing was I heard the songs. And Josh is a screenwriter. So the stories were very narrative. And for me as a songwriter, I was like, oh, I want to elevate these songs. They were strong in the storytelling process. I thought that they could be stronger in the songwriting, more hooks, more chorus, thematic, right? So getting a good blend of moving the story along, but also being a solid song all by itself outside of the film. So we talked about that. Like, hey, I want to work the songs. That was one. Second, he was like, I want to just have a guitar vocal, And I was like, okay, I think that I know what you're wanting artistically that to be like in the film, but my input would be that we wouldn't want that for the whole film. Carrying a whole show just with a vocal guitar, I don't think we'll do it. And hearing all the songs, I was like, I hear a full production on this one. I hear this kind of production here. I want to have arcs in the songs, right? Like, just again, if we're making an album, I want to have different colors. So what was wonderful was Josh was so collaborative and so open to like just our creative process. He was really one of my favorite people to work with creatively, because we started with him saying, I just want vocals and solo guitar and no music for the score. And my response was, oh, we absolutely need a score, and I hear more production, and I want to rewrite these songs. And we did all of that. We made all those wonderful changes. Plus, he's so into music, and he would text me and say, oh, on this song, I have this like 1920s banjo. I think it would be great on this song. And so the creative process was so, so fun. But that initial meaning of finding out, what would you expect of me? What would you want me to deliver? And him saying, I'm open to like all your creativity. Like, I'd love for you to have a hand in casting if you want. I want you to have a hand. Like, I just want your creativity. And in terms of the music, let's produce each song. And I'd like you to work with the actors on set and in the recording studio to produce the songs. I'm like, I know I can execute those things terrifically. I did suggest that we had a score, because I thought it'll sound really weird if music comes out of nowhere. There's no music like emotionally getting us ready for a song, if it goes from like dry to song. And at that point I was like, I've never worked on a film. I'm going to be producing all the songs and working on set. I think we should get a composer who's worked on films to do the score. I would feel like I could deliver really strong on my end if that was done. I'm sure I could do both at some point in my life, but I think right now, taking on this job, I will deliver well. I don't think I would deliver as well if I was doing both, especially for my first film. So that was me getting in over my head and recognizing some limitation of going, okay, I'm not going to take on all of this because I don't think I will deliver excellence. But if I did this one job, I will. And then it turned out he hired a gentleman, I want to say Sven. I'm the worst with names. He worked on Maleficent, which is a film that I love that film. And I was like, yes. And then again, we talked about, I gave a lot of ideas in terms of what I thought the score could be, the kind of feeling that it could have. And Josh, of course, like came up with his own incredible source material for that score. And then the delivery by the composer was amazing. So what happened here? I was working on a film for the first time. I was working on a set. I was working with a team that involved producers and a director. It involved some licensing, which the producer handled. So I didn't have to do the sync licensing on the 2 songs we needed to license. They were like, we'll handle that because all this technical stuff, I'll manage it. Amazing. So I was in over my head, just being in totally new territory. Working in an environment I hadn't worked in before. I worked as an actor on film and TV, but that had also been a long time. Hi, Zach. That's being in over my head. That's being challenged. That's going further in a realm, right? But I'm also working in things that are familiar, producing, songwriting, vocal producing. I brought in musicians that I really trust. I brought in a co-producer to work with. So I think that for me, that is the wonderful balance that's really important. That success comes when you step into new territory, when you go out of bounds, you get out of your comfort zone. Paired with, can I deliver with excellence? Can I have the discipline? Can I learn something I need to learn? Can I pay attention to my surroundings? Can I find out what the expectations are so I know that I can meet them? I think that is really, really important. So this film Wonderland, which you can all go watch, has a really amazing score from the composer. I think some really cool songs. I had a blast working on set with the artists. I had a blast in the studio with people. In fact, one of the songs I have, it's actually the demo of me singing in the studio. We laid down the demo for the artists to record it. And They ended up using just the studio recording of us on the mics, the live mics, in the soundtrack. It was pretty funny. We were like, that was not meant to be used that way, but okay. What else? What else? Like that whole process was really, really fun because again, I was in an area that I love working in. I love film. I love that storytelling. Super cool. For example, when we were in the first meeting with the team was like female driven, like the producer, the showrunner. A lot of females were heads of the different departments. I learned in that first meeting. So this is Josh's project, uh, writer, director. But in that first meeting, there was another person running the meeting. And I was like, oh, okay, I learned this. In the film area, like he's the writer director, but this person is running this meeting. All eyes on that person. Everyone answering questions. Da, da, da. I also learned on the set when I had a question and I would go to someone with a question. If it wasn't their department, they're like, oh, you need to talk to so and so in that department. And that was very, very clear. And that was also super, super cool because what that meant was I wasn't getting wrong information or misinformation or information, even if it was correct, from someone that wasn't in that department, and therefore the person in that department knew I needed the information, could relay it, was like, oh, okay, this is how this works over here. It was cool to learn that. And this is what you do when you're working in a project that's new. You learn new things. You bring your skill set to that moment and you learn new things. So I think that what's really important to be in over your head, you need to know what you're solid at. Where's the boundary? Where am I challenged? What is new material for me? And then what do I bring to anything that I can contribute? So if you're clear about strengths that you have, if you are clear that like, oh, I am really solid at this way of lyric writing, I'm really solid in melody, I am solid background singer, a harmonizer, like I bring lightness and humor, I bring vulnerability and authenticity, I bring integrity into a writing session. I help us stay on the theme. I help to make sure that like everything is feeding the theme that we're talking about. If you know your strengths and where you're not strong, you will lean and have confidence from your strengths. You will lean into them. You will bring them. You will not be shy to share them. For example, I am not shy to say in a writing session and to question, hey, that lyric that you just wrote, super cool. I like it. And I will tell you, I'm a lyricist and a melody writer. But often my favorite line of a song when I'm co-writing is someone else's line. I'm like, oh, I just love that line. It's not my ego going, oh, my favorite line, I wrote it. Although that's happened a couple times. Like I remember saying to someone recently, oh, I love that lyric in our song. She's like, oh, you wrote it. I was like, I did? And I was like, oh, that's right. But then the back end came from Paul. I'm like, that's right. I remember. But some favorite lines are the ones that someone else wrote. I love the ping pong. I love their contribution. But I have been told on a few occasions, oh, Wendy, you really help us maintain the integrity of the song. You make sure that like we stay on that theme. And since I've been told that a few times, and I'm aware that it's something that's an asset to the room, I'm not shy to speak up on that when it comes into the writing, when something's happening and it's like, oh, this feels like it's taking us off course. I really love that lyric, but is that the direction we want the story to go in? Because we've been taking the story in this direction. If we want to, let's all get on board with that. So I'm not shy to say it because I know it's a strength. Knowing what you're strong at is going to help you know I'm qualified, I'm ready, I can excel at this gig. Hi, Sylvina. Oh, you're happy to listen to this. That's awesome. Knowing what you're strong at gives you the confidence to bring it to the room. If comedy is something that you're great at, use it use it in a writing session. You'll be the person people hire on tour because they're really fun to be around. And we need that person on the tour. And then we need someone else on the tour who's like, dots the I's and crosses the T's and makes sure that nobody's left behind, right? Like we need different people for different roles. So when you know yours, you will be more of it and we will embrace you for it. And then Know what you're not strong at, so that either A, you don't take a gig that's the dominant thing you're going to be asked to do, or B, you're like, I got to spend a little time increasing my skill set at that, because either I'm missing opportunities, or I'm not feeling confident about those opportunities because that's not so strong. So if you are a side guitar player and horn player and keyboard player, and you're like, I really want to up my game with my harmonies, do some studying, do some work to up your game so that you can be the instrumentalist and the background singer, and to support the band, or to support the artist. So strengthen those. I love to talk about Misty Boyce. Misty's a phenomenal artist, songwriter, musician. Every gig that Misty takes that's not her own project, every gig I've ever seen her take, she's gone in over her head. She's learned a new instrument. She's learned how to run stems. She's learned more MD stuff. Every single time. And I remember not so long ago, she posted something, and I commented on this. I was like, I see you leveling up all the time because you get in over your head, and then you excel and you learn what you need to learn. And it was funny because I think that the reflection of that was appreciated, because she was like, oh yeah, I just feel like I'm in over my head a lot, right? Like I feel like I'm always like, and that's true. Like as a creative, as an artist, like I do believe if you are elevating, you're in new territory all the time. So you might feel like a beginner again and again, or you might feel like, oh my gosh, everyone else knows what they're doing and I don't. Not true, but you might be learning something new, gaining new experiences. So every time you climb a new mountain, every time you go higher on that mountain, you're actually like new at it, right? But you're bringing along all your experience. You're bringing along all your expertise at whatever you've already done. So it's important to reflect that, like, oh yeah, like this is just new territory, but I'm really good at all these things, and I really I'm putting in the work for this. So Misty, like, I'm wowed by her, and I've seen her elevate on her tours with Sarah Bareilles and Lord Huron, and just literally learn new instruments, learn new gear, learn software, in over her head, and elevating her life, her musicality, her career. Gorgeous. Sarah, let me see what you're saying here. You feel like you have no strategic plan for your singing dream, and I'm concerned at your age I'm missing out on my primal leads for performance. I think something was mistyped. You have a vision, but it feels like you have no songs of your own and you just do covers. Oh, okay, great. This is a great comment. So interesting. So number one, don't worry about your age. What you have to say at any age is important. If a 65-year-old woman went on stage right now with her songs, you said your primal years. You're missing out on your primal years for performance. I don't know when your prime years are. In terms of the voice, your 30s is like prime time for vocals. That's the beginning of maturity, 30. That's adulthood. And vocally, we are in our prime, actually, in your 30s. Now, it's good to do training and work and have experience to be set up for that. But, and then if you're singing well and you have good technique, you're not going to deteriorate. You can sing well for, most of your life, if not your whole life, depending on how you're using your voice and how you're taking care of yourself, your body, your spirit. Oh, amazing. So you're 28, 29 is a biggest transition year of your life. It is every 7 years is one of our life cycles, 7, 8, 14, 15, 21, 28, 29 is the biggest one, which happens again at 56. 28, 29 is the end of youth into maturity. It gets better after 30. It really does. And then better after 40. And these are times when you often move. Your soul is saying, there's this thing I want to do. We got to do it now, which is where people think they have a midlife crisis at 56. It's actually, again, that part of you going, there's this thing I still want to do, That's awesome. So, and then you also mentioned about like, I don't have a strategic plan. So I think that there's two parts to this that are both true and not true. I think having a plan can be amazing. Like you have a goal and a destination, it helps you move towards it. It helps you say, okay, I want this. I'm going to go for it. And strategy also is really good. Obviously, like a plan for releasing a single and having a social media plan, amazing. But life will also just throw things at you that you're like you have that are not on your plan. But if you're clear that like, oh, that opportunity is cool, and I'd be in over my head, I'd learn something. I like the people. Interesting. I think that could be really fun. I would learn and get paid. Maybe I'd travel. Say yes. Say yes. If it's go where the love is, go where the doors are opening, say yes. Because maybe you're like, I want to be a solo artist, but you're getting this incredible tour opportunity. Great, take it. Your solo thing doesn't have a hard deadline. Your solo thing isn't like, oh, we already have a release date. Like, if it's still going to feed your soul, your career, your pocketbook, your friends, it's going to help you get opportunities, meet new amazing people, you like the people, say yes. Go get that wonderful experience and see where that leads. I was 3 years old and was like, I want to do music. I know that's my thing. I had no idea I would be coaching. I've traveled the world as a coach. Like I just said, I worked on a film. I've wrote a song that's got me a Grammy certificate. I've written, I've got, I think about 16 songs, is it? I think I have 2 albums worth of educational songs that all the like public schools in India use. And I wrote about 16 songs that are all educational. How fun is that? You just like life will lead you in amazing places. I do think having a horizon, you're like, I know I want to do this, and you start doing the work towards hitting that horizon, and then let the wind blow you where it blows you, because maybe just a little bit over here is actually your destination and your destiny. So go where the love is, go where the doors open. As long as you like what's through that door, go for it. Don't let blinders, like, but I have to have a solo career. Don't let blinders make you lose opportunities that could be fabulous, growth, learning. There's nobody in the creative field that got there in a straight line. Like to be a doctor, everyone follows the same path of education to become a surgeon, basically, right? School and internship and residency but creativity and music. I want to read some comments here and come back to it, and then I want to tell you about Jack Dishel, because what a journey, same thing that he had and getting in over his head. When you were 28, you worried a lot. Yeah, 20s is like anxiety and worry about a lot of stuff, and 30s we let go of a lot of it. But Sylvina, you just had a baby. Amazing. But you feel you're already peaked. I don't believe you've peaked. There's no way that at this point in your life, when you still have so much in front of you, that you've peaked. I don't believe it. You do have less time to write songs. You have less time for everything, particularly for the first 9 months of being a mom. And in fact, definitely a lot of people have said, like, even after age 5, it changes so much. And age 8, it changes so, like, kids get a little more independent in various things. But the first year and a half, I thought, okay, let's talk about being in over your head. I've been an artist and a creative. I've been a vocal coach for 30 years. I've been a songwriter all these years. In the last few years, doing online courses and doing Compass, I learned 5 softwares. I've started developing more of a team. I've created partnerships and brand partnerships and partnerships with different, people that do artist services. I've spent so much time learning about sales and marketing, because my job now is to tell the whole world this Compass program exists and it will change your life. Come take Compass, right? Wait, what was I saying that? Oh, number 1, was I too old to do it? No, I learned 5 softwares and I'm still learning. Like, I didn't know what the word funnel meant at one point, right? Like you keep learning to accomplish your dream. That's what I was going to say. My twins were born as I was literally launching Compass. My twins were born at the same time. I thought I'm going to keep my pace when my babies were born. I'm like, of course I'm just, keep my pace and have my kids. And that is not possible. That is not what happens. What I did do was I just never stopped. And I had some people reflect to me, Wendy, it's amazing that you are a new mom, you have a startup business, and you, of course, run into roadblocks here and you ran into a wall that, like, I mean, in a new business, it's constantly taking steps, tweaking, adjusting, pivoting, moving direction. Like, you have to keep doing that. Just as an artist, you keep refining, your songwriting, you're refining your brand, you're figuring yourself out. You're responding to social media and like things change there. The industry and the business has changed so much. So you have to keep learning it. And I had some people reflect to me, Wendy, what you've never done is stop. Like, you've just, like, the pace had to change, but I never stopped moving the needle. And that's what matters. Never stop moving the needle. I've certainly come to surrender a lot more and just go, oh, I want everything faster and bigger and faster. But I can't control that. That is not in my control. It's not on my time. What I love is the activities that I'm doing. I love the program that I'm leading. I love the results I see that it's creating for artists. My passion and purpose is my drive. Learning new things, getting in over my head to learn. Then you get above water for a minute and you go, oh, I got to learn this now. Then you get above water for a little bit. So it's a constant process. But I think when you're aware of your purpose and your passion, those two things will help drive you. And as long as you're moving the needle, you're doing the job. As long as you're reflecting inwardly and checking in, how am I doing? Am I growing, or am I stagnant? How can I take care of myself more? Do I need to just sing for the sake of like singing and making a song, just not to write a hit, not to put something out, but just because I need to sing to feel good? Just keep moving the needle. You don't know when your time's. I almost broke. Like, I almost had a big break. Gosh, first time at 14, 15 years old. Second time, 16. When I was 14, 15, a record label had my first album. They loved it. They just didn't know what to do with a 15-year-old who sang with a big R&B voice who was 15 and Caucasian. Because when I was 15, there were no 15-year-old singers. Michael Jackson had been the last kid singer. There was no 15-year-olds. There was no YouTube yet. When I was 16, I made the final cut for a Broadway musical and a West End musical. That would have been a huge break. I recognized later, if I had had that break, I would have been spit up and chewed out and probably become a drug addict because I wasn't ready. There were a few other times where, like, oh, I almost something. And I became a coach. Like, I had no idea I was going to be a vocal coach and love this so much. I had no idea I was going to do half the things I've done in my life. I lived in India. I took a risk and went and took my inspiration and went to India to make a record. And I wrote with A.R. Rahman, and I worked on several films. And I made amazing friends and loved living. I lived there half the year for 3 years because I just didn't want to stop being there. Who knew that was? I did not know that was on my bingo card. So I just think, for me, I love adventures. But I think that as artists and creatives, challenging yourself to keep growing and learning, which means reflection. Where are my strengths? Let me reflect. What in over my head? 16 years old. You're very welcome, Sylvina. That's literally it. Just keep moving the needle. If you do that, you know you're doing your job. That's it. I think we also have to recognize, like, you chose to have a kid and you go, this is a priority. This is the season I'm in right now. I'm in being a new mom right now. Let that be your full focus. Oh my goodness, don't miss the opportunity. Be a full mom. And then there'll be time you're like, okay, I'm being a full-time mom and I'm writing new songs. I'm being a full-time mom and I booked a show, right? Like, because especially the first year is like, it goes so fast. Long days, quick years. And again, this applies to everything. You know, I have artists when they're on tour, they're like, oh, I haven't written a song in a minute. You're in a season of touring. And then after tour, when you're not on tour, you miss touring, but it's the time for songwriting. So things are cyclical and seasonal. So you got to check in. What season am I in? What season am I in? Where am I? What do I need to be doing right now? Surrender to that and allow it. You know, part of our frustration is thinking we're supposed to be doing something else. Not even that I want to be. If you want to be, you'll do it, and you'll make even just a little time, and then it'll make you feel better. but that I'm supposed to be creates the conflict and frustration. What season are you in? Surrender to it. I think also Rafa Sardina said this at Amplify at the event in LA that we just had recently, which was really beautiful. And Rafa mentioned it. He's like, I'm the most inconsistent person. Now this is a 60-time Grammy winning producer and mix engineer. 60-time nominated. I'm gonna try to remember. Was it 16 Grammys or 16 Grammys? And he says, I'm the most inconsistent person. Now that can't be totally true because he consistently produces music, right? But he was saying, I'm really inconsistent. And we need to allow ourselves that. You need to allow for the fact that like our capitalistic world and our social media world says produce, 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 produce all the time, every week. But the creative spirit needs time to wander, breathe, marinate, be inspired, take things in, write. Like you need time for processing. Hi, Layla. You need time for inconsistency, right? Like instead of demanding of yourself. And I would say this, to a tennis player, like you have to have consistent rehearsal. A vocal singer, you need to rehearse. You need to be practicing your voice. You're an athlete. You also need to know when it's time to rest, be silent. It's an input day, not an output day, right? A day that's like, today's rehearsal is going to be about watching music videos, right? How do I accelerate myself today? How do I learn and want to grow today? Everything can't be produce, produce, produce. You are a human being, a creative. There's so many cycles. There's the daily cycle, there's a seasonal cycle, a life cycle, a creative cycle. Are you in a writing mode, a touring mode, a marinating mode? I think of songwriting like something's going in and it's bubbling, like, spaghetti sauce, it's marinating, it's just bubbling, da, da, da. And then when it comes up, you're like, oh, I got to write this song now. And then we write it. And then are you in a producing mode? Oh, I'm in production mode now. So we need to allow and surrender to where we are in our journey or in our moment instead of demand of ourselves to be A, somewhere else, B, moving faster, C, doing more, right? So acknowledging where you are. Hey, Leanne, lovely that you're joining us. Yes, Sylvina, go Rafa. Rafa, what a beautiful soul. And I just love this, that he said, I'm really inconsistent. And I think that capitalism is, because he's like, I don't know why. And I'm like, capitalism is demanding of everyone to like, everything should be done like on a schedule, on a da-da. And I believe that's true. I think that as a music artist, for example, every day go into your rehearsal space, create a sanctuary that you want to be in, go into that space, and then I call it practice roulette. Make a list of all the things you could do while you're in that space so that we're going to blend discipline with inspiration. Maybe, like I said, one day you go in and you're like, yep, I've been resisting finishing that song, or I haven't completed a song for a minute. I want to work on something I can complete. And so you bring something out to finish. Maybe another day it's like, I want to work on instrumentation today. I'm feeling inspired to just play the piano. And another day you're like, I'm in that tour prep mode. I want to start getting on my feet and singing through a few songs at a time and then increasing that. So I'm tour prepping. I got to start singing through songs back to back to back. And then another day you're like, it is not an output day. I'm not in a producing from myself. I'm going to input day. Today I'm going to go to a museum and I want to go look at art that isn't music and be inspired by visual art. Or today I'm going to watch live videos of iconic artists that I love, or just some of my favorite people, and just watch their live performance. And just, what do I love about it? What can I learn from it? What could I take from it that oh my gosh, I love the way they carried the mic across the stage. I want to do that. And then when you're in your rehearsal process, you're like, it'll come up to you, be like, oh, this song, I want to carry the mic across the stage like I saw so-and-so do in this song. And then I'm going to tweak it a little my way. Some days are not for production and output. You need to be inspired. You need to learn. You need to take something in. So being in over your head. Oh, I was going to tell you about Jack. I love this. So Jack is an incredible singer, producer, songwriter. He was in the Moldy Peaches. His project is called Only Son. Phenomenal. He's also one of the funniest people I know. And I've told him, I'm like, the way your mind thinks and sees things is so unique. It reminds me of George Carlin. It reminds me of, um, well, just really George Carlin is and Stephen Wright. He mentioned that. He's like Stephen Wright. I'm like, yes, you have this certain way that you look at the world. It's pretty fascinating. And I take this much credit because I really encouraged him to do stand up. I'm like, man, you are an amazing musician. You're an amazing songwriter, no doubt about it. But you are truly unique in your vision of the world, and you're so funny. I'd love to see you do stand up. And I mean it. I take this much credit for just encouraging him. And I was at his first stand up show in New York. He went off for an hour and a half, no script. He just had some notes of like 4 topics that he wanted to talk about. No, he had not written a tight 10 yet. He just hour and a half, and so funny, so philosophical. We all, like the whole audience, when he was done, we were like, oh, we would have stayed. We would have gone longer. And we joke about it now because he was like, oh my gosh, like, to write a tight 10 now, he's like, I know what it takes. And you probably wouldn't have done the first hour and a half if you knew what it took, right? Like any of us, if you know what this business is, if you know what your career takes, most people wouldn't start if they knew what you were going to get into, right? But getting in over your head is a surprise. Where your career takes you is a surprise. Choices you make will surprise you. It's also the fun. So his first stand-up, amazing. And then he wrote a treatment for a show. And he had some really amazing special guests. And he said to me, I have multiple networks interested in this show based off a piece of paper treatment. No reel, no video, no nothing. And he's like, I can't, like, getting people interested in music is so much harder. Getting people he's like, I can't believe like what's happening with this. I was like, yeah, run through that door. Go where the love is. Go where the doors are opening. If you like it, I will always say that. Don't run through a door if it's like, oh, this door's open to you. If you're like, oh gosh, if I walk through that door and I do that kind of music, yes, they're offering me something, but that's not my sound, my style. I will be very unhappy. That's not your door. But go where the love is. Go where the doors are opening. If you're like, I love that. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. Yes to that. Because the world is just shifting the sails. You've hit a destination. You're like, I'm aiming for that horizon. I'm working on my career. I'm going, and the wind is going, here's an opportunity. Take it. Because the world and the universe knows the magic that is there for you and the opportunity and the joy you're going to have. You just didn't know that was even a possibility. Like when I started working at age 8, I didn't even know being a voice teacher was like a gig. The job I've had for my whole life, the career that I built, didn't exist. I literally carved it out. I've created things out of nothing, just like being a songwriter. So go where the love is. So he did this show. It's called Drivers, with a bunch of V's in the name, I believe. It was huge. Like the first episode had like 22 million views. Macaulay Culkin's in the first episode, and Rosanna Arquette's in another episode. And I was saying to him, well, it's your show. You can put your music in it. You can feature your music in it. And in fact, full circle, Jack is in Wonderland. We cast him, and he produced one of the songs, the song that he performed, he produced it. So he's in the film. And that story of like that success, and he's continued to do stand-up. He worked on another show with another friend as a writer. Like his comedy, his talent is so strong that the doors kept opening there. So again, as long as you love doing it, like if he was unhappy doing comedy, I'd be like, oh dude, then it's not for you, right? But you're happy doing it, you're loving it, you're working with people you love. Get in over your head, say yes to the challenges, and then bring your excellence to it. Bring your skill set to it. Bring your innovation to it, because you are going to put your spin on it that will make it special. I'd never music supervised a film. I'd never worked on a set as a coach, coaching all the artists, live performing, live singing during the thing. And of course, I was like, I got the skill set to do that. I've got emotional intelligence to pay attention and learn on set. I know what set is like because I'd worked as an actor and on set is when I was younger, but adult maturity and emotional intelligence. So it's like, what are my skills that I bring to the room? Use them and walk in with confidence. Get in over your head and be challenged so that you grow. To be in over your head is to take everything you have with you and then learn on the fly, learn in rehearsal, bring it in, and deliver. I'll tell you a job where I was in over my head and I got fired. I was about 16, 17. I have to go back and find out exactly what age, but I know I was driving. So I was around 16, 17. And it was my first job. I think it was the first one. There are 3 jobs I've been fired from. They were all background singing. So go where the love is. Notice where the door is shut. By the 3rd gig, when I got fired from being a background singer, I was like, clearly I'm not supposed to do this. So I stopped trying. The first job I got fired from, and I'll tell you that story. The second one I got fired from, and later, like a year and a half later, learned that like there had been like a strong campaign to get me fired from that job because there were people on the set that were threatened. I was like, okay, that's a whole nother drama I don't need. But it was just, again, the world going, this is not the door for you to walk through. So I went, okay, let's stop trying. The world is saying no there. But let me tell you the first story. In over my head. In over my head and not being able to deliver got me fired. So background singing job. I had basically been a solo singer most of my life. Although I had been in choirs, I often was the soloist. Or if I was in a musical theater, I was singing. I was singing lead, or as a soprano, I was often singing melody. So I can harmonize. I really love doing background vocal arrangements, and I'm not the fastest at it, but I'm unique at it because I'm really doing it by ear. I'm not quick as in here's the 3rd, here's the 5th. I'm doing by ear things that I'm feeling and being more of a songwriter and creating parts that I really like and sonically. So anywho, I wasn't fast enough at holding harmonies and I didn't have a lot of confidence in it. And so I got fired from the gig. And I asked the lead singer, I said, I really want to learn how to do this job and be better at it. So would you mind if I stayed in the gig and I'll do it for free? She was like, yeah, sure. So she had an extra singer and I did it for free. And I put in the work to learn. I showed up on time. I was at every rehearsal. I did the work. I prepared. And at the end of that, I don't know if I think it was like prepping for a show, there was going to be a 3-month tour. And she offered me the job, hired me for the 3-month tour. And that's because I put in the work. I was in over my head. I could not deliver with excellence. So I got fired. I did the work, could deliver, got the opportunity again. That's the process. That's being in over your head, failing and succeeding. And so that's why I say, get in over your head. Know that you can deliver with excellence. Do the work to deliver with excellence. Sometimes you're going to be doing that on the fly. Like if I had, I got fired early in the job, so I didn't have time to learn it. But then what did I do? I stayed with it to learn on the job. And that's what you're going to do a lot of times. You're going to be getting paid to learn a skill set, put in the time outside of rehearsal, put in the time that you need to behind the scenes so that every time you show up, you're keeping the gig, you're accelerating, you're learning, you're growing. So for me, that's what it is. Being in over your head is where your growth is. It's where your joy is. It's where your success is. It's where you move the needle because you're not just staying comfortable. Yeah, there we go. That's what it's about. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I really enjoy this. I love the conversation. Please ask more. Give me conversation. Give me questions. Let me know topics you want me to cover. Every Wednesday, 1 o'clock PT, 9 o'clock Paris time. I'm here on Wednesdays. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Join me. Ask me questions. Tell me what you want to talk about. This is wonderful. Let's all get in over our head and bring our excellence. Climb your next mountain. It's what keeps things